Look at this avalanche of physical paper and sticky notes burying a clean, organized workspace. This represents the mental load of a modern design review. Human reviewers enter a room with a strictly finite cognitive budget, and that mental energy is easily exhausted when faced with complex, multi-stakeholder feedback. When that exhaustion sets in, a predictable failure mode occurs. The critique drifts away from structural problem solving and devolves into subjective, pixel-level arguments over colors, fonts, or minor spacing issues. This drift happens because a crucial element is missing from the room. The design's underlying assumptions, what user behavior it expects to change, or what specific task it is trying to accelerate, remain hidden and unnamed. Integrating artificial intelligence into user experience design is often misunderstood as a way to generate massive amounts of automated feedback. Having more opinions is rarely the solution to a derailed critique. AI's actual utility in this process is functioning as an abstraction calibrator. It acts as an engine that forces the review to operate at the correct strategic level. Abstraction calibration means directly matching the depth of the critique to the maturity of the design artifact. A rough wireframe gets interrogated for its core user flows and product risks. A highly polished mockup gets evaluated for exact implementation details and accessibility states. AI optimizes this calibration across 4 distinct stages of a project's lifecycle: preparation, live facilitation, follow-through, and meta-critique. By integrating intelligent tools across these 4 stages, teams remove the subjective, taste-based rituals of design review. The process becomes a rigorous, hypothesis-driven alignment engine. The lifecycle begins long before anyone looks at a mockup. It starts with foundational documents like PRDs and BRDs. A PRD is a product requirement document, and a BRD is a business requirement document. Both outline specific goals and technical constraints of a build. Traditionally, facilitators prepare by drafting generic meeting agendas. An AI-driven approach bypasses this by directly parsing the foundational documents to extract precise criteria, business goals, and market positioning. In this diagram, we see how an AI processes that text. It extracts specific requirements from the document and converts them into explicit hypotheses about user behavior, mapping them directly to discrete sections of the wireframe before the meeting even begins. Once the hypotheses are mapped, the system runs a pre-critique. This serves as a necessary automated filter applied to the design before it reaches human eyes. Here, a solid structure is scanned by a beam of light, causing small jagged imperfections to instantly vaporize. This illustrates how AI automates the identification of low-level usability errors, broken states, and basic design system inconsistencies. This automated scrubbing protects the team's cognitive budget. The cognitive budget is the strictly limited reservoir of mental focus and critical thinking that human reviewers bring to a given session. If humans spend that budget identifying minor visual inconsistencies or tiny technical errors, they will exhaust their resources. They will have nothing left to dedicate to deeper analysis of large structural flaws. Running a pre-critique prevents teams from applying microscopic scrutiny to a design that is still strategically unsettled. The system further clarifies the artifact by generating placeholder content and documented rationale. Replacing standard lorem ipsum filler text with contextually accurate phrasing makes it immediately easier for stakeholders to evaluate the design's intent. Client participants often provide their best feedback asynchronously prior to the meeting. AI can cluster this written pre-session feedback to surface patterns and underlying tensions before anyone speaks in the room. Automating the removal of minor visual flaws and organizing early written input ensures that when the live session starts, the human cognitive budget is reserved strictly for high-level, strategic problem-solving. With the preparation complete, the process moves into the live, synchronous critique session. During the meeting, AI operates in the background as a live facilitation aid. It continuously analyzes the whiteboard text, the chat messages, and live meeting transcripts. The system is scanning these inputs for quantitative markers. It flags patterns in speech and participation that indicate confusion, rising frustration, or disengagement among the participants. This real-time monitoring is particularly effective at countering the HIPPO effect. HIPPO stands for the highest paid person's opinion, a group dynamic failure where a senior leader speaks and the surrounding discussion immediately narrows. This timeline chart displays a speaking distribution heavily skewed to one entity, triggering a flagged prompt. Facilitators can use these cues to actively counter the HIPPO effect. Crucially, AI summaries are cues, not verdicts. Notice how human input overrides the prompt to maintain control. If a facilitator treats the AI as an absolute authority, the room simply trades one problem for another, avoiding the highest paid opinion only to blindly defer to whatever the language model dictates defeats the purpose of human review. Beyond passive monitoring, AI can also enter the live session as an active participant through a concept called the synthetic stakeholder. A synthetic persona is an AI prompted to act as a highly specific user type. Facilitators can instantly summon the perspective of a novice user, an individual dependent on a screen reader, or a deliberate devil's advocate. When the room is sharply divided on a specific design choice, the facilitator prompts the persona for immediate, simulated feedback to test the assumptions of both sides. This tactic instantly grounds the debate in user centricity, forcing the team to confront alternative viewpoints without requiring actual external personnel to be scheduled into the meeting. Real-time analysis also de-escalates technical conflicts. If a debate over implementation complexity becomes heated, the AI can scan the company's existing design system and propose an immediate, feasible workaround. Live AI tools do not replace the facilitator's judgment. They provide the real-time leverage necessary to keep the discussion objective, balanced, and focused entirely on the user. Watch this chaotic flood of disparate geometric shapes pouring into a central funnel. This represents the post-meeting reality for distributed teams, a fragmented avalanche of asynchronous feedback scattered across different time zones, Slack channels, and recorded walkthroughs. Intelligent note-taking tools capture this chaos. They instantly transcribe the live session and sweep external channels to extract the specific decisions made and the questions left open. The system then applies a clustering mechanism. It analyzes the raw text and recognizes that vastly differently worded comments from different stakeholders actually point to the exact same underlying usability issue. For instance, the AI determines that one user complaining, "I can't find the export button," and another asking, "Where is the download feature?" are both highlighting a single, centralized navigation failure. Organizing feedback into clean categories is helpful, but advanced AI adds a strategic value layer by connecting those grouped themes directly to product strategy. This graph shows categorized feedback clusters being vertically reordered and ranked against a bar chart. The AI actively prioritizes the feedback themes based on their predicted impact on core business metrics, like conversion rates and user retention. By tying feedback to objective business metrics, the system actively prevents teams from over-indexing on the loudest or most frequent voices in the communication channels. In the final execution step, the AI converts these prioritized summaries into structured, executable blocks like Jira tickets. Jira is an issue-tracking software used by engineering teams to manage tasks. The system automatically proposes necessary subtasks, drafts titles, and writes out detailed descriptions. This ensures the precise intent of the critique is perfectly preserved as the design moves into the execution phase. AI synthesis takes a disjointed flood of competing opinions and shapes it into a defensible, metric-tied roadmap for the next design iteration. If we step back from the individual project lifecycle, we uncover the highest-level application of these systems, using AI to critique the critique itself. This is the longitudinal meta-critique. It is a persistent analysis of meeting summaries, agenda compliance, and effectiveness reports, conducted over a long time horizon. While human facilitators have limited and often biased memories, an AI agent can track patterns continuously over years. Humans suffer from recency bias, valuing the most recent events too highly, and availability bias, which makes us recall only the most catastrophic or memorable anomalies. Because AI never tires and lacks these human biases, it can objectively compare the outcomes of critique after critique, spanning months or even years of organizational history. The metacritique is searching for recurring organizational anti-patterns. It scans the data to locate hidden, systemic blind spots that a team repeats without realizing. This macro timeline maps multiple isolated project notes. Notice the bright line illuminating identical late-stage failure points connecting across them. This visualizes a systemic blind spot, such as the exact same technical feasibility objection arising repeatedly at the end of entirely different, isolated projects. Revealing these overarching patterns gives leadership highly specific data. It shows an organization exactly where its internal processes are causing it to learn vital lessons too late in the development cycle. By deploying artificial intelligence across preparation, facilitation, follow-through, and analysis, UX professionals elevate their standard procedures. The design critique shifts from a static, isolated ritual into a living system that forces continuous organizational learning.